welcome back to WRPL. It's the podcast where we talk about all the things we were watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name's Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And I'm going to apologize up top. Weird audio problems. Like always, someday I'll figure it out. But today is not the day. We actually kind of have a lot of stuff. Once again, Steve is a huge lazy piece of shit and refuses to watch any new movies. He's paying for a service week after week, and he's not seeing anything. So get in the comments and tell him about how rude and what's the word I'm looking for?
This is the part where I would jump in with insults to myself, but you know what? I'm gonna let you figure it out.
No, I everything's totally understandable. So we don't have a lot of stuff that we both watch. There's a few things.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about Dave. We'll talk about Ted Lasso. You got some shows you finished. I didn't really watch a whole lot. I did see a new movie, so I will be talking about Little Mermaid.
Well, honestly, I'm kind of glad I didn't see Little Mermaid, so now you can tell me about it.
Sure.
Because I have a feeling whatever you say, I'll probably be in agreement with you.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to see The Little Mermaid. I was willing to, but I just don't have the time at the current moment. And so I think this will be good that one of us has seen and one of us hasn't. So I can ask you questions and go from there.
Cool. Well, let's start off with the stuff, our weekly stuff. Well, we got to start off with a roll first. But you just had it. You were spinning it.
I know. What? Am I going?
Did it go in your pocket? Did you put it in your pocket? Oh, okay.
Here we go.
So we'll start with a roll, and then let's talk Ted Lasso first.
All right. I'm going to say, since we have audio problems off the top of it, I'm going to say 6.
Okay. I mean, we talked about this last time. You say what it's going to be, and it screws you over regardless.
We'll see. A 3. Even worse.
Jesus Christ, Steve. Oh my god. 10.
10? Ugh. All right.
Okay.
It's only up from here, I guess.
Sheesh. All right.
At least no nat ones.
I mean, last week.
Last week I did. Yeah, but I'm saying at least this week.
Yeah. All right. So Ted Lasso, second to last episode. I really like this episode.
Me too.
But I have problems with it.
Okay, tell me your problems.
So the main thing is it's a Jamie episode. It's him kind of dealing with things of his past, still with his father, getting injured during the match, and just kind of not being his usual self. He's kind of having a crisis of conscience. I
mean, Jamie, I guess, is the forefront, but this whole episode is about fathers. There's 3 fathers. Well, yes.
Yeah, there's Ted's mom is there, and also Jamie's mom is there, which...
Parents in general, I guess, yeah. You're right.
But, like, when... So Roy sends them to the closet, and he instantly, like, breaks down. That was very funny. But then you realize, oh, this is a bigger thing. I know they're playing it for a bit, but there's more to it. And I felt like it was kind of cheap for them to use this really touching, sad moment for him, where he's just going through something, to be a funny joke. And then when we meet his mom, they have a really weird relationship, which I think is funny because Roy's just looking at him like, are these two fucking? Because they are way too close and way too touchy to be mother and son. But then they play that stuff, even though it looks kind of silly, a little more sincere. I just felt it was kind of rude for them to go, hey, let's laugh at this guy for crying, for having emotions.
Yeah, I think other times, for a show that kind of is, whether it's intending to or not, kind of show positive male, expressing your emotions as opposed to, the constant toxic masculinity we see in a bunch of stuff. Here's men who can say, I love you and thank you and hug and kiss and it's not a big deal and just be good people. To have Jamie cry the way he did, well, we've seen that kind of bit before. If they cry in a funny way, it's funny.
It's funny.
But Jamie's had plenty of good moments on the show, but I think you're right in terms of maybe he should have, that scene could have been sincere and not been played for comedy. And then you can still have Will, the Kit Man, walk in and go, oh, you missed it.
I missed a good one.
Yeah. And so you can still have that Marvel tag joke at the end of a sincere moment.
Sure.
But you don't play that sincere moment.
Yeah, he's not like touching his face and stuff. It just was too much.
A little silly. I can see that.
Yeah. One thing I was kind of confused of when it comes to Jamie, he's looking for his dad, and then it cuts to 2 guys, and they're like, oh, His dad sure would have been proud. Like, oh, he's dead.
Yeah.
That's why no one's heard of him.
This is the only part I didn't like.
And then they cut to his dad in like a prison or a hospital?
His dad's in rehab.
He was in rehab.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was.
They never straight say it, but it's pretty clear because I think he was with a group of people around him, and that's why he couldn't answer his phone because they take your phone in rehab. So I've heard.
I thought he was actually like in a crazy person's house, like he went over the edge.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure it's just rehab.
And so it was weird because the whole time I was going, oh, no one can get in contact with him because he's dead. He drank himself to death. And then when his buddies are like, oh, his dad sure would have been proud of him. I'm like, okay, that confirmed it. And then it's a psych out. Like, no, he is still alive, but we're never going to go back to this character. So I don't know why we needed that. Just let him be dead.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason I didn't like this, one, because of the fake out of it all, because, like you said, I thought he was dead within the first 10 minutes of this episode.
Yeah.
They can't get a hold of him, that's going to be the twist. He's not going to get closure with his dad because his dad's dead, which I think would have been more effective than this show constantly going, every villain of the show will become a good person.
Yeah.
Which is, I respect that idea that Ted's positivity and love has spread out to other people, which are now affecting the other people in their lives. That it's infectious in a way where even the people who are the worst people at the beginning of season 1 can be good people by the end of the show.
Yeah.
But I think to just give it some sense of reality, some people should just stay bad.
Yep.
And I'm not saying it had to be Jamie's dad, but the fact that no one other than Akufu
and Rupert.
But even Rupert has his moments.
You feel for Rupert at times,
I could see Rupert in the finale kind of turning it. But not.
We'll get to it. But not.
I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of give Rupert one last thing at the end where it would have been nice. I'm happy for this fictional character that his dad's getting clean and maybe he'll be a better person because Jamie clearly loves his dad despite all of his faults. But that part, he should have just been dead. Me personally, I think. Yeah. But it's fine.
So we get to meet Ted's mom, who is the mom on Freaks and Geeks. That's all I know her from.
Oh, yeah. I don't know the actress' name, but a pretty famous character actress in the sense of you've seen her in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, she plays moms.
Yeah.
But perfect casting. And I thought Ted was, he had his issues in the beginning. He's trying to be nice, but you could tell he doesn't really want her there.
With her there, yeah.
I kind of thought, when you're around a friend and you laugh at their jokes and everything's great, but then when they're in front of your other friends, you instantly go, oh, they're embarrassing. I don't like this person around other people. Because I'm seeing that person through their eyes. I thought that was going to be something like with his mom. She's so embarrassing to be around, and she's always making these weird jokes and word plays and stuff and not realizing he does the exact same thing, and he just had this secondhand embarrassment. I'm glad it was more than that. It was her inability to cope with his dad and her husband's death. But then they play that scene very sincerely. But I almost found it funnier because I just didn't buy Jason Sudeikis breaking down at that point. It didn't hit me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was actually pretty well done.
I thought if you change the music to be a little sillier, this would have been a comedic scene. I don't think it was bad, but I liked his speech, but I didn't buy the emotion from Jason Sudeikis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did it cut me straight to my core and make me want to cry? No, but I thought he did a really good job in that scene. And like I said, I do like the speech of, thank you for doing this, but fuck you for doing that. And I thought that was a really good way to kind of talk to, two adults talking to each other, but a parent and a child, even if the child is in his 40s or whatever. Because I think a lot of times, as we get older, we don't talk to our parents in the same way. And I've never told my parents, fuck you or anything like that.
Ooh,
but
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so. My parents are good people.
But parents make mistakes and stuff, and you can get angry.
Sure.
But I feel like if I ever said, fuck you to my parent, even in a way it was just like, I'm not mad at you right now, but this thing has hurt me, they wouldn't take it on the chin. They'd be like, what?
What you say?
And then they'd be upset that I curse at them, and then it becomes a bigger thing. Like, a lot of times I watch arguments in TV shows, and I go, that's not a real argument, because the second you say this, they wouldn't take it in stride. They'd say this. And maybe that's just, my family dynamic
Yeah,
or whatever.
your worldview.
But
yeah.
whenever I see a main character speak to another character in a certain way, and it's always just like, you know what, you're right. No one's ever going to say you're right in that scenario. They're going to go, well, I'm angry, and maybe I'll say you're right
down the road.
But right now, the fact that you're coming at me is just flabbergasted.
Yeah, I can see it in a lot of shows. It's like, fuck you, mom. Like, hey, don't use that language, and they're using it to like change or change course. Like, I'm not going to address the things you are actually complaining about. I'm just going to be mad that you cussed in front of me. So now I'm going to derail this whole thing.
Right.
Let's see what else happened. So I mean, Rupert is gonna get sued by a bunch of women because of harassment, which I had a feeling was coming when he had his secretary, the not so hot, frumpier sort of woman. So I knew it was coming. I just wish it kind of happened earlier, because Rebecca hasn't had shit to do this season. She had one little romantic thing. She had I wish I was pregnant. Nothing's come of that. Probably won't. Maybe he'll be at the stands, and after they win the big game, he'll look and wink at her, and it'll be like, oh, things to come that you'll never see. But she just hasn't had much to do, so this could have helped. And you know how they even make a joke, how she comes to Ted at the end of the season to reveal a big, shocking truth, and she says, I have nothing. And it was so like blatant, like, yeah, because you've done shit the whole season. I feel bad for the actress that she's such a great character in the 2 seasons before, and then they just don't give her anything for this.
Yeah. No, I never really thought about it until.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess her whole arc this season is who will I fall in love with based on this psychic's prediction about a green matchbook and
and she hasn't gone back to confront the psychic or even like her mom about it. It's just she just outright believes it, and then there's passing glances at Sam. And I don't want her to get together with Sam. I think it's weird, especially she's his boss. I don't like it. They could.
I love Sam, but I don't know if I see them getting married or anything like that.
Yeah. So what's Ted's big surprise? Because she says, I have nothing for you. And he goes, well, I got something for you. Cut to black.
Yeah. He's go back to America.
Yeah. It's pretty simple, yeah. After this season,
after that conversation with his mom, where his mom's like, your son misses you. And he's like, of course, I miss him too. We're going to play out the season, and then I'm going to go back, and then Roy's going to take over the team. Or
I think Beard will even stay because of his girl.
Because of his girl, yeah. Or not Roy won't take over the team, but...
the asshole?
Nate will take over the team. Nate will be the coach, and then they can all work together. And
Ted came in to really shape up the team, get the right people in the right positions, and then so he can leave. And so it'll be Roy, it'll be Nate, it'll be Beard, and they'll just be
especially since there doesn't seem to be any real confirmation that if there was a proposal in Paris with his ex-wife and the therapist, that happened, because she didn't have the ring on. The kid didn't seem to respond to him. It could still be that they're engaged and she was just being nice about it, or it's, oh no, I was wrong to date this guy, let's get back together. And that's Ted's happy ending. He goes back to his son.
I think his happy ending is just, I'm back home with my son, and that's it.
I mean, I'm not saying I want that. I'm just saying I could see them going that way. But yeah, Ted's big reveal is he's going back to America.
One thing I really liked is that when they had one of their matches, and Ted goes up and like shakes hands with the other coach, and the other coach is like, yeah, it was a good game. All that really matters is shaping these boys to be good men. And like, are all soccer coaches like this? Or is this just like Ted's, is he infecting other people and they are just following in his footsteps? Or is it just kind of like, yeah, there are other good guys out there.
Sure. You know? I believe that coach, I didn't look into it, but I remember seeing headlines of special guest.
He's a real.
I think he's a real soccer player that they made a coach of.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I guess people who are into soccer were really excited to see him. I don't know who this guy is.
Cool.
But anywho, I think there's plenty of coaches that aren't Ted that I think want the best for their team and shaping these people into good people along with the best athletes they can be. And sometimes there are coaches that are, I'm
here for the trophy. I'm here for the big win.
Their just style of coaching is, I'm going to drill you guys until I mold you military style into just soccer goal machines or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was a nice exchange, but it just kind of felt like, I don't know who you are, but this feels like a scene that was added just to kind of go, hey, look who we got.
Yeah, and I could tell from the acting, it's like, you're not an actor.
Yeah.
I like Beard and Nate's little exchange, and you get to see more or hear more of Beard and Ted's backstory and kind of how they became friends. And he was like in jail and turned to drugs and stole his car and
took a bunch of meth.
Yeah, and Ted was just there to help him, so it was nice. I like Nate thinking he's gonna get murdered by Beard, because that was scary when he opens the door and he's just standing there. Because at first I couldn't tell who it was.
Okay.
Oh shit, this is a real scary thing. But so it'll be nice to see him come back. I mean, I don't care about Nate. Fuck Nate. I think I'm with Beard in the beginning. Fuck that Judas guy. Burn the whole place to the ground. Don't bring him back. He can be redeemed, but I don't think he deserves to be on that team anymore.
Okay. I don't necessarily have a argument against it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fair assessment. I think in the real world, I think he wouldn't go back. But I think in the world of Ted Lasso, there is always a spot for him at home. I mean, that's where he started. He was the kit man, and everyone knows him, and he knows the team, and it makes sense. That he would just be the best fit there, especially if Ted is leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So why get another coach that doesn't know the dynamic when you can have Nate, who seemingly everyone has forgiven, who has been forgiven by everyone other than Beard until the end.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I didn't buy that the thing that sort of, I mean, we know why now because of his speech of, this is my way of paying back Ted for all of his kindnesses, I'm going to forgive you kind of thing. But that video of Nate hiding under the desk for 6 hours, though, this is the thing that really turns because he was so embarrassed, or look how sad it is that he hid under there for so long.
That was stupid. When the cleaning people came, you just get up and you walk out. Like, why are you hiding from them? What are they going to do? Tackle you? Like, I hated that so much. That was like such an unfunny, weird sort of retcon thing.
Nate's bad with all people, though. So I can buy why him of all people wouldn't get up. But if I was under there for 2 hours, I'd have just been like, fuck it, they're just going to have to arrest me. Because what did I do? Yeah. I ripped up a piece of paper out of a place I currently work at.
Yeah.
So.
I also don't like the idea of he's going to come back for the last game. You think that would be a conflict of interest? He was a coach of I'm assuming the people they're going to play in the finals. And then he gets to be the coach or an assistant coach and help them out on the last game. That seems like cheating.
Oh, well, see, I don't know the rules of that, but I don't think he would come back as the coach for the last game.
Well, I mean, he was saying, like, I got to make amends. I got to go back, even if it is just one more game.
Oh, okay.
And maybe it's you can't be on the field.
I figured he'd be there, but I didn't think he'd be coaching.
I don't know.
I think
I can see
Ted would ride out the season, and then you go, okay, it's yours now, Nate.
Yeah.
Toss him the jersey.
Yeah.
Here you go, kid. Thanks, me too. But anyway,
anything else?
Good show. With Ted Lasso, I can't believe there's only one episode left. It feels like there's
and then it's
still
done.
So much more.
But this is a show, 4 years, there'll be a reunion special. 4 years after that, he'll come back in a Super Bowl ad. I know Ted Lasso started as a commercial for like ESPN or whatever, but I don't think this is a character that's ever going away, and we will come back for fresh seasons and stuff within a few years. It's not gone forever.
The other thing that I guess we could talk about real briefly is, because I was trying to think, what did Keely do this episode? But he was teamed up with, she was teamed up with Roy.
Yeah.
And it was just, I don't want to be friends. So, which I saw them getting back together.
For sure.
For the longest. And I honestly think the last little bit we're going to see is Jamie with the teacher. I think they're going to pair them two together.
I would be okay with that.
But anyway,
it's got to be weird to have like your childhood hero and your childhood crush in your room with posters of them.
And Roy's fucking hair on the
Yeah. And like you work and kind of your best friend is your childhood hero and you dated your childhood crush. Kid's had a weird life. But he's like really achieved all the goals he's ever wanted to do. I did like that shot of him making that goal after he came back from being injured. Because at first I'm just like, what am I looking at? And I was waiting for him to get really hurt or something. Like, oh no, we're watching him. We're not focusing on the goal. Oh, speaking of, this is the most soccer we've seen in any episode, and it was great. And I gotta say, the goalie Van Damme, finally he fucking does something. Because if you watch any episode, he sucks. He's constantly scored on, and I know because it's like it's a team thing. But in this, he's like amazing. He's so good, and like thank God he finally got there, because I don't think I've ever seen him do anything good in this entire show.
Yeah, we've always seen brief snippets of the game, and there's probably been episodes that had longer matches. Probably the West Ham game was the most one,
Sure,
where they played Nate. But because we pretty much only ever really see them lose, we always just see Van Damme get scored, because you got to see them get scored on, where we're not going to see them really pass the ball around too much.
That makes total sense.
So then finally, here's an episode where Van Damme gets to shine.
Yeah,
where it's like, nope, there's not a single one getting.
I like that. That triple one he did, like he blocked it, they did it again, blocked it again, blocked it the third time. It was very. It really got me hyped for the rest of the episode. I wish we got more soccer in these episodes.
Yeah, for a sport, it's a sports show without any sports.
Yeah. All right, let's move on, because we're already at 20 minutes.
All right,
Ted Lasso.
Make it quick.
Okay, Dave.
This episode felt like classic Dave. I feel like, because Dave sees an opportunity to do something, quote unquote, better, and fucks up what he has, and then there's also a weird scene where he's fucking something.
Yeah.
So it's classic Dave episode. What was the big thing? The movie.
The movie.
Yeah.
Which I loved.
Uh-huh.
And I was talking to Nick about this. It was kind of hard watching the movie part, because they were talking about how Dave strives for perfection in everything, and they have like a montage of him talking about a cheesesteak that wasn't good, or the couch isn't good, and it made me feel like, is this what it's like to hang around me?
Oh yeah, 100%.
But I was like, God damn it, that's so fucking annoying, because I wanted to smack the shit out of him. But at least, like, for me, it's just, this is an opinion I have, but for him, it needs to be better, and this is not good enough. But for me, it'd be like, I liked it, I don't like it, and that's it. But he's got to take it to another level. Well, so I don't think I'm as annoying as him.
Yeah, you're not. But I think the difference between you and him as well is he has the resources to make the changes that he wants, where you kind of are settled into, this is what it is, I'll have an opinion on it, but I'm okay with not changing it, because more or less you have no power to in a lot of situations. Or it'd just be too much of a hassle to do it, where he has an entire team who it's like, I don't like this, we're going to change it, and then they have to do it. Even if they don't want to, or try and talk him out of it. I think that's the difference. Is he has money and power, where you kind of
I'm poor and annoying.
So if you had unlimited resources to change the things you don't want, then I could see you being more towards this way. But I think you have a better sense of self to not also be a dick about it.
Yeah, because he is very self-aware, but sometimes he has almost like a blind spot of himself, like seeing himself outside himself. But yeah, want to punch him in the fucking face. He has this wonderful person who's willing to uproot her whole life for him, and he's like, I'm not even sure if we're dating. And it's like, she's throwing herself at you, and you're just kind of like, oh, maybe something better. And I know I said last week, but like, Rachel McAdams is not an upgrade. Yeah. Yes, she has the fame and stuff, and the controversy and the tabloids would be helpful.
There would be benefits to it.
But, I don't know. Chloe Bennett.
That being... It felt like, him watching his final cut, where it didn't have any of... what's Chloe Bennett's name in the show? Robin. It didn't have any Robin in it. But, when he was watching the dailies, I guess, or the rough cut that she was showing him that had Robin in it, he's like, well, why don't you should get Robin out here, because I don't want to send the wrong message. Yeah. Because it's about me looking for love, she was like, well, it's you looking for love, and here is love. Yeah. All of it's really cute. We should keep all this.
But for him, it's like, well, I didn't find it, so cut it out, because I don't want people to think.
Right.
This is I achieved my goal. No, I'm still searching.
I figured that would have been the thing that he sees that and go, oh wait, I couldn't see it from the outside, but seeing it on tape, I see Robin is the one. But it isn't after till she leaves, where it kind of replays the videos that he was watching, and so like now I get it. But he had it all right there. Yeah, Robin was great, and probably won't see her in the finale unless it's like I guess he could like run after her or something. But it's just so weird that they had a breakup, and his first thought is time to have sex with this
Yeah.
super realistic sex doll.
Yeah, I mean, that's his thing.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
You can't
why
have
he
sex
would.
with this. You can't have sex with this thing while I'm here. The second she leaves,
Yeah.
he does it.
That was so graphic. But I mean, did you see what's the clip for next week?
I did not.
Okay, it's him and Rachel McAdams in bed together.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so not only does
that could be a dream sequence.
Yeah, I guess it's true. But like Robin gets broken up with, goes back home, and then she's gonna see the tabloids and the media buzz of Rachel McAdams is dating Little Dicky, and then she's gonna be like, he wrote a song about her. Was he seeing her the whole time? And it's like, there's no way he's gonna get her back.
Let me, because I couldn't quite gather it from the editing of the show. Did he actually meet up with Rachel McAdams and play the song?
A whole dream.
Because I thought for a while that might have been the case, but then he sent her a text that said, "Hey, it's Dave. You want to meet up?" And she said, "Oh, I'm free next week," which made it seem like that never happened because she never texted back.
Yeah.
Because in that scene where he plays her the song, and it's like, I'd love to do the music video. Would you think about sex scene? And you saying that they're in bed. Okay, they're filming that. That scene.
Because it's like their conversation is like, "Are we crazy for doing this?" And it's real short like this. It seems like a genuine conversation after they've had sex.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, either way, Dave. Here's the thing I'll say about Dave. Dave has the best season finales every year.
Yeah.
Season 1 and season 2, phenomenal. I said it last year. Dave, the finale of season 2 of Dave is one of the best episodes of television of 2022. So I'm hoping it's the same this year, because there's a lot of episodes every season of Dave where I'm kind of like, I wish I didn't have to watch that episode. It's been less cringy this year, but it's a show that I think if it went away, I wouldn't be devastated, but I still do really like the show.
Yeah. I'm glad that she kind of took complete control over the thing and cut him out of it.
Got picked up by A24, maybe?
Yeah, and even like say how he was trying to say, well, you can't use that footage. Like, no, I had signs up everywhere saying it's like they do for on-street recording for movies. If you are seen in this, we can use it.
I won't compromise for you anymore.
Yeah,
I like that she stood up for herself.
It's just a shame we got so little of her throughout the season.
Yeah.
She gets a nice ending to this, but it did feel like, crap, we got to do something, and it's really well written, but it all kind of just comes so fast.
Yeah, and the other thing with that, when we see the movie, we see why Els sticks around. Yeah, he's annoying, but he's my best friend. I can work with my best friend every day. And we see why Mike stays around, because he's like, he's annoying, but I believe in him with all my heart. And we see why Gata sticks around, because Gata and Dave are oddly two sides of the same coin or whatever. But we don't really see why she sticks around. It just seems like I don't really like Dave all that much. And I feel like she's kind of always been that way.
Yeah.
She's always happy to hang out with the group and has a good time. But it always seems like she doesn't really like Dave all that much.
Yeah.
And this just seems like, okay, this is my end of my journey, because now I'm getting options from real movie studios. You've helped me direct things, and now I'll be done with you.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because I really like her, but at the same time, they haven't really given her all that much to do other than be kind of there.
Yeah.
So I could see her getting written off the show, or like her getting launched into the stratosphere, doing better. All of them really doing better, and then I'm waiting for Little Dicky to like dive. And all of his friends succeed. And
we get a little preview for the Nut House that Gata's going to be on, because it's crazy people who can't have sex. Like, good double meaning. It seems like a show you would have invented, or someone would have just said, "What's the show called? The Nut House?" And you'd be like, "Ooh, it's about crazy people." Wait, no. Yeah, they can't bust a nut. No, wait, both. So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So give me something of yours. You got a lot. I'm only going to be talking about a few things. So
all right, I'll knock some stuff out really quick. We always say that, and hopefully this time we mean it. Give me 1 second. Okay. So in the gaming world, as I've said on this podcast about 600,000 times, I love Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings Gollum video game came out, and ever since they dropped the very first footage of this game months ago, or maybe a year ago, people said, why?
Yeah.
This doesn't look very good.
Yep.
And they were like, don't worry, we'll improve it. It's still early, whatever. And this game looks atrocious.
Yeah.
And it's getting ripped by every review thing across the board.
Not only ugly, but it plays bad.
Yeah. It's not fun. It doesn't look good. The graphics are terrible. It's like PlayStation 2 graphics.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stealth and walking around that doesn't really equate to anything. There's no combat or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they are ripping it. And rightfully they should, because just because you have an IP to a game doesn't mean you make it as a money grab. Make it good. And doesn't seem like anyone really tried to, and I don't want to put down the company that made it, because maybe they really believed in this product and it just didn't work out. Or
studio execs pulling funding, cutting.
I don't know the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So to their credit, I will say, hopefully you guys can continue and do something great. But this fucking wasn't it.
Yeah.
And I hope no one buys it, because it just seems like a slight against God and all that's holy with Lord of the Rings. And, you can shit on Rings of Power because it just wasn't what you were looking for.
Yeah.
But this is the real problem. Like, Rings of Power, I think, at least tried, and there was, like, a lot of good stuff still there, whether you like the show or not, story-wise. But this is just clearly, we're going to make the cheapest game possible with name recognition in hopes that it'll sell something. And they just made the biggest pile of shit of the year.
This is like DLC for the Shadows of War, Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah.
This feels like it's just a side mission from that, or DLC from that. This isn't a full game.
Yeah.
How do you make a full Gollum game? Because I guess half of it is Gollum in captivity, and then the other half, it's like, really? Half the game is going to be in this one castle, this one location? That's pretty shit.
You just have to sneak around orcs and hope that I can call
Wow, fun. Throw rocks to distract them, hide in shadows, climb against walls.
Yeah, but I think I didn't think of that, but I think that would have been good if it was a DLC because in the first Shadow of Mordor game, Gollum was a character. He only had a brief amount of time there, but that would have been fun. Here's this thing, and here's what Gollum was doing around that time, and it could be a 3-hour game of just here's some stealth and stuff, and maybe he gets to kill an orc here and there, but obviously not combat stuff. But he just
I'm surprised
flips cuts a rope or something
and drops a chandelier.
He's able to do some cool stuff.
Yeah.
But then it's just like, it's a fun story on how Gollum connects to the bigger thing. Where this is just, let's tell Gollum hanging out in the cages of Mordor.
Yeah. Yeah, that seemed like such an ill-advised decision right from the get-go.
I want Lord of the Rings stuff to succeed, but I recognize garbage is garbage.
Yeah.
And this is garbage.
But speaking of video games, we should just keep talking about video games.
Yes.
So, what was it called? The Sony
PlayStation Showcase, I believe it's called. Just a bunch of announcements from Sony. Here's some new games. Here's some a new system we're coming out with.
Yeah.
Here's some other
streaming only handheld thing.
Headphones, all the technology stuff. Don't really care about.
Nah.
I care about some games.
All right.
And
well, let's leave the important one last. Go through the other ones you're interested in.
So they released, I don't know, trailers or clips of a bunch of different games. I didn't really care about most of them, but there were 3 that I was excited about, and I know one of them is what you're excited about.
Yes.
So at number 3, I have the Metal Gear Solid collection.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because the only Metal Gear game I ever played was a demo for the PlayStation 1.
Yeah, that came in PlayStation Magazine, right?
And it had 6 other games on there or something like that. And I remember playing that demo a bunch of times because I had to get to the end, and I was a dumb kid. I didn't realize that once I got to a certain point, it was over. I was like, man, I keep failing. I get to this cutscene or something, and the game doesn't continue. I didn't realize. I thought it was going to be longer.
It wasn't like you were dying right before the final cutscene.
I mean, I was constantly getting caught too. Yeah. I wasn't. It was the first time I ever played a stealth-based game. Because
my brain couldn't handle that.
Yeah, I didn't understand what my objective was.
Yeah.
It was pretty advanced for me, and I didn't know who Snake was or what was going on. But anyway, it was just one of those franchises that I never got into, and I know it suffers from that thing that I hate the most in video games is a super convoluted plot that doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
That being said, because of the iconicness of this character and how much these games have been loved for the past 30 years or whatever it's been. The fact that they're remaking the first three
Yeah.
for the modern age, especially after playing Resident Evil 4 recently, kind of has me excited because I think what would hold me back now is, well, I don't want to play those really old games because I don't think they would engage me in the same way as they do now. Now I know 4 and 5 or whatever came out for PS4 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure that those are probably hold up, but I don't want to jump into the fifth one.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to, as long as the reviews are good for it, checking these out and kind of seeing the Solid Snake storyline 1 to 3, and then if they remaster 4, re-release, whatever, I'll play those too. So to see from the beginning has me very excited.
Okay.
At number 2, Alan Wake 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Alan Wake is a game that I talked about on here a couple months back because I remember really liking it when it came out for Xbox 360 or whatever, back in 2010, I think it was. And I replayed the remastered version, and I don't think it was very good. From what it was a lot...
Shaking the table
Sorry.
a lot every time.
It wasn't as good as I remembered. Just because it wasn't all that fun combat-wise. It was just like flash a light in this thing,
But it's
shoot
more
it with
of an experience, right? Of, is this guy going crazy?
Yeah, but I enjoyed the story and I liked the vibe of it. It just, the game wasn't as fun. It doesn't hold up 12 years later. That being said, the new trailer for this game makes it look more like Resident Evil, really a lot more scarier, a lot more detailed and involved. So I think it looks actually pretty awesome. So if it's going to be Resident Evil / Silent Hill, but with a fictional writer's standpoint and what that entails, could be cool.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a shot. And then finally,
the only most important thing I cared about.
The most important thing this year, possibly.
The thing that, it's the reason I bought a PS4 was to play Spider-Man.
Yeah. And it might be the reason
I get a PS5. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think this will be released around November.
Yeah.
And because they're going to probably push for the Christmas sales.
Yep.
If there's a Spider-Man PlayStation 5 bundle, that's what I'm picking
I'm getting it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was on the verge of doing a Father's Day gift for myself and buying the PS5. After seeing this, I'm just going to wait.
Wait. Yeah.
So I can wait on other games. There's a bunch of stuff I want to play. I have a list, but I don't have time for it right now, so I might as well wait till I'm adjusted and maybe get a Black Friday deal.
But my God, the things you could do in this. I was a little hesitant just because whenever it's a Spider-Man sequel, it's always, when's Venom going to get here? That always seems to be the inevitable outcome.
Which always feels like Green Goblin is his Joker, but Venom's the one everyone wants to fight against.
And it doesn't look like we're getting any Green Goblin in this, so he'll be part 3 for sure.
Sure.
But the black suit looks great. And actually, we may not get a whole lot of Venom in it. It may be... no, we probably will. I was thinking it's going to be like more of just black suit Spider-Man. And maybe defeat Venom real quick and then you get it, or...
Well, I think it'll be... because we see at the end of... Spoilers for the first game... The tag at the end is you see Harry Osborn covered in the symbiote.
Because he has cancer or something?
Because he was sick, or whatever it was. And so, obviously, Peter, the suit escapes or whatever. There's some connection. And I think him and Miles are trying to save Harry's life. And that's why they need to get Kurt Connors, because Kurt Connors is someone who can help him.
Sure.
But
Craven's going after...
But Peter's got the suit, and then Peter loses the suit, and that'll get attached to either Harry or maybe Craven will be Venom. Who fucking knows?
I think it should be Harry. I think
it should be too.
That's where they fucked up in Spider-Man 3, the movie.
Yeah, I can see them having an Eddie Brock character come in, but it's just a fake out. So Harry is the Venom.
Yeah,
which I like better. But yeah, I think that will be the arc: is Peter trying to save Harry, and he's going down this dark path because he has a symbiote suit on him, but also because I'm doing all this bad stuff, quote unquote, so I can save my best friend, and then Miles will help. You'll be Miles having a fight with Peter. Yeah, they'll get it off, and then Harry will have it, and then you guys have to team up to fight Venom. It's all seems to be right there. Yeah. Maybe there's a twist, and they're like, well, that's what all the fans are going to expect, so we're not going to do that. Maybe, but it's pretty much guaranteed you're going to have to fight Peter Parker.
And really, I don't care about the stories in this. I've liked them. They've never seemed bad. They do kind of brave things like killing Aunt May in the first one. but I'm here for the swinging, and I'm here for the combat. And we get like a couple more boroughs open up, so now you can cross bridges. And I loved the city before, but that is kind of a hard thing. What do you do in the sequel? You don't bring them to Paris or anything. You do have to expand New York. And the different things you can do now, like I like Miles making the little zip line across, and then you could do your stealth in different ways. So cool.
I saw it pop up on YouTube when my wife and I were scrolling through it. I was like, honey, put that on real quick.
Yeah. So I know it's 10 minutes, but
yeah, please. I was like, this is okay. We need to watch this. And so we watched the whole thing, and the whole time I'm just like, oh my God. What? Like, I was reacting in a way. I never talk during movies or anything, but just, I must have said, holy shit, like 4 times or something. I was really reactionary to it all. It's like, that looks cool. That looks cool. Oh, awesome. How did I not do that before?
All the symbiote powers, and one thing I liked, and they didn't utilize it completely well. It'll be interesting to see, but he puts his webs out and he takes someone and like smashes them against the wall and then against the other wall. And I think the buildings were a little too far apart for that to really be working, but hopefully that is a more used move, because that looks fun. But I also like him pushing a guy up against the wall and kicking him. My God.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I was watching it and I was like, this looks really awesome if this is legitimate stuff you can do consistently, because it just felt like, oh, let me show you all the awesome things that you probably won't be able to do in game. I mean, not that you could, I think you could do them, but what I'm saying is they're probably harder to pull off than you think. You'd have to really go for it, but this is just showing this is what you can, a snippet of what you can do. But I love when games can interact with the environment in terms of combat, and like us playing The Last of Us 2, played it normally, but then we watched clips on YouTube of people doing amazing moves that you didn't even know was possible. It's like, oh, they thought of this shit. It's
or just, they played this level a million times and know all the parts.
But it's just, I didn't even know you could throw somebody through that thing or pick up this thing. And like, there's so many things you can do in games that I think people just don't do because they don't realize, or it is kind of more of a hassle. Oh, I want to do this cool move, but I have to make sure that this enemy's up against this wall.
Using human shields in Last of Us, I never ever used a human shield, but it's helpful to take it and then push him into a clicker or something and distract them both. I never did that. If I can't stealth kill him, I just regular kill him. I never, if I grab someone, it's just because I'm gonna use my melee attack. But there's just a lot more in the game you can do, and I just
and I'm glad it's there. I just think this kind of stuff is something I'll not bother with because it's just easy to just kind of straight punch a guy.
You could glide now.
Oh, the gliding.
My God. And I like that it seems you could kind of get caught in air currents
and like really book
and
it.
Really just go across the city.
And you know there's going to be some of those Taskmaster stuff, like go through these 18 rings or whatever. Use your gliding ability.
But it's going to be easier to go through rings when I'm just flying instead of having an arc swing that can fuck things up.
Sure.
I'm so excited, and the lizard looks cool.
I'm so glad they made it look have the snout.
Yeah, you gotta have the snout.
I hated. That's the main thing I didn't like about the Amazing Spider-Man movie is that they went with the original look where it's just flat face.
Wolfman, Crocodile Man, they gotta have a snout.
Yeah, and you and I have been pitching a Kraven as a main villain. So I think this game is our movie that we've been pitching essentially.
Yeah, we're gonna get that game. We're gonna get a Kraven movie. Hollywood's finally listening.
It's the big year of Kraven.
But I think it's only the big year of Kraven because we've seen all the bigger ones, and now we got to go to like the C level.
Sure.
Even though there are some good Spider-Man stories with Kraven, he's not the go-to.
Yeah. But it is kind of a shame, and I mean I get it because you need not cannon fodder, but you just need bodies. Yeah. And so, we had the military group. Well, now we have the Kraven group, and they're just the other henchmen group. Yeah, with the guns and the armor that you have to... Then they all have super technology.
It's just guns and armor again.
Yeah.
I wish they had...
It's the same models, just different skins.
They have, like, robot dogs. Okay.
I do like that element.
But I wish they did have more, like, animal-based things. So...
Well, they have the... It looked like it was the birds, and we saw like the puma thing.
Yeah,
there are other options,
but it just felt like guys with guns, and maybe you have more knife attack guys, or you have people who are in a gorilla suit, like a mech gorilla suit, and
Yeah.
now they got big punchy arms.
Well, maybe they do. We just haven't seen it
That's
yet.
true. That's true.
Yeah, I need to see at least 6 different animal options. One air, maybe there's a water-based one.
Yeah.
They gotta have
a land, sea, air.
sharks with lasers attached to their heads.
But yeah, if you just have guys like, oh, look, I'm the ram guy. I'm wearing a ram helmet. And you got to watch out for his little speeding ram attack. And you got to dodge. And he'll hit a wall and knock himself out.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, super excited.
Yeah. It looks so good. I didn't even know we were getting a trailer because I don't really keep up on video game news until it's like algorithmically thrown in my face.
Right.
So I was just scrolling through and like 10-minute Spider-Man 2. And like, oh, is this an old thing? Like, new gameplay. This is new. So it's like, sorry, work, but I had to stop everything and watch a 10-minute video.
Yeah, there was nothing in this trailer I think I disliked.
No, and I like how mean Peter is. My favorite part is like he saves a dude and he just like chucks him. Just like, yeah, I saved you. Good enough. You can pick yourself up now.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So that's it for the gaming.
That's all we have for games.
All right. Let's.
You got some shows. I guess I'll end it on Little Mermaid because that's the big release.
Oh, there's also the movie that you and I have both seen. We can end it on. I mean, it's a little late by a year, but
yeah, okay.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so let's do it real quick.
All right,
I'll do the 3 shows that I've seen, and then we'll get to Barry.
Okay.
All right?
Oh yeah, I forgot about Barry.
Yeah. All right. So finished Schmicago season 2, set in Schmicago. It's musicals more based on 80s era where they were darker and sexier, and Cabaret was one of them, and the songs were bigger, and I think most of them were better, and I think that choreography wise, a lot of them were bigger and better. But the downside to this season is I don't think it was as emotionally resonant as the first season.
Because by the end of the first one, I'm assuming they fall back in love and they're able to escape, right?
Yeah, so the first season was very much, here's a couple who fell in love, are struggling in their relationship, and will they fall back in love by the end? And they do. It's now sometime later, they've been having trouble. They've been wanting to have a kid, but it seems like they can't. And so they're like, well, maybe if we go to Schmigadoon, this magical place, we can sort of figure out what's wrong and heal our relationship that's now struggling again. And when they go back, they don't go to Schmigadoon, they go to Schmicago. And all the people that they saw in Schmigadoon are there, but now they're different characters. I don't remember ever running into them.
Okay.
It's
same actors, but new characters?
Same actors, new characters.
Okay. So Alan Cummings not the gay mayor anymore?
Alan Cummings is the Sweeney Todd character.
Okay.
He's a butcher in town, and him and Kristen Chenoweth are kind of the gross, grimy people.
Oh.
Who, I don't know if you saw Les Mis, right?
Yeah.
They would be like the Borat, and not Borat, Jesus Christ. Sacha Baron Cohen and Helen Bonham Carter characters.
Yeah.
Because she runs an orphanage, he's the butcher, and he's on a quest for revenge, and he wants to kill
the Thénardiers.
Sure.
That's their name, Monsieur Thénardier.
So, anywho, a lot of great songs. It's still a lot of fun. Really good comedy. It's a great show, and it has me excited for season 3.
What's that one going to be called?
So it hasn't been greenlit for season 3 officially yet, and they've. Kristen Chenoweth is famously, she was on the original cast of Wicked, and so she was like, oh, since this is taking place in sort of the 90s, 2000s era, what are we doing Schmicked? And because Into the Woods was around that time, so I'm thinking that it's going to be in a fantasy sort of world, and it's them, we have a kid involves a lot of new problems, and now they bring their child to the whatever Schmigadoon world they're in, and now they're on a, musical quest about what it is to be parents, and that's kind of what I expect season 3 to be.
All right.
That's my pitch, is a fantasy world.
Do you think they would get, if they did a Wicked thing, do you think they would get Kristen Chenoweth to do something similar to her role, or do the complete opposite? Because look, how aware are we? Because she was Glinda the Good Witch, or was she?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
She wasn't her sister, right? Not Ethelba's.
No, she was. Basically, they were roommates in college.
Okay,
is the story of Wicked. But she was the popular girl, and
Ethelba.
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 Ethelba. Yeah. Jesus Christ. She was the weird kooky girl, and they became best friends, and they had the falling out, and yada yada yada.
Does she have her no-armed sister in the play?
A no-armed sister?
Yeah, like the one who gets the house landed on her, who had the ruby slippers.
Right. That
is her sister, and she has no arms in the book, at least. Was that in the play at all?
I don't remember that being in it. Yeah. Anywho, so I think she would do something completely different, but they would definitely make nods to it. Okay. I would think, or some sort of inside joke to Wicked, if that's the route they go.
Yeah, they can also do some war stuff, right? Because there's a lot or is that closer to like the war Western musical would be closer to the first season, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed season 2. It didn't. Oh, the other thing I was going to say is, so the first season was this really fantastical looking place and looked like a sort of, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just almost cartoony, and it looked like sets were painted, and it was all sort of very close.
Sets were painted. Insane.
Well, is it like a painted theater set? It looked like a magical place.
Does it look like Edward Scissorhands neighborhood, or is
that?
It...
But way more heightened.
Okay.
So it looked. Oh, you know that sequence in Beau is Afraid where he's walking? It's animated. It's kind of more like that. Okay. It's not animated, but it's close to that.
Sure.
But now this is just a city backlot. Okay. So you kind of lose a lot of that magic because you're just putting it in a dark, gritty city. But that being said, had a great time in Schmicago season 2.
Okay.
Check it out. So next up, Mythic Quest season 2. Finished that. I'm almost done season 3. Mythic Quest is a great workplace comedy. I said it when I talked about season 1. And season 1 had a fantastic episode of television with Dark Quiet Death. If you're a fan of the show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Where each season they do one episode that's kind of breaks the format and they shoot it a different way, and it might have a loose connection to the overall story, but it doesn't necessarily involve all the main characters from the show. And season 2 had another good one where it was set in, I believe, the 70s. It's the origin of one of the older characters on the show, and how he kind of saw, he was a writer and he wasn't very good, and then he saw Pong and kind of was like, told everybody, video games are the future. And they're like, video games? You're nuts. And it took a long time, but it was just a beautifully told story of this character's origin story. But then all the other episodes are just kind of workplace silliness, all based around video games. And if you're a fan of Rob McElhenney and the It's Always Sunny crew, he's very much a Mac-like character, but not as awful. Their show has a lot of heartfelt moments between characters where, even though if they're snipping at each other, they do genuinely care and love each other. And it's just a really well-made, funny show that I think would do better if it wasn't on Apple TV. That's the problem with all Apple TV shows, is like, there's a great show here that no one's recognizing. I also want to shout out Megan Gans, who's a writer on the show, who wrote a bunch of my favorite episodes of Community, who writes for It's Always Sunny, who is on their podcast, and she directed an episode this season. She's great. And the episode I was talking about, that is the 70s episode, it's directed by Rob McElhenney, and he's directed a bunch of Sunny stuff, and I know he was set to do the Minecraft movie, which I thought was weird, but I believe that's done now. But he's a really talented director. Like, he directed the shit out of some of these episodes, and I think he's not getting enough credit in that regard. Like, I know Charlie Day just released his movie, which didn't really do that good. So it seems like Rob is just making the stuff he wants to make, but I'd love to see him tackle a drama and a major studio release, because I think he's really good, and no one's really talking about it because it's just a silly comedy show.
Except for this podcast, you heard it here first.
But
Rob McElhenney is good.
But I believe Ashley Birch, who was the voice of Aloy from
Is it Horizon Zero Dawn?
Horizon Zero Dawn. She's on the show, which is a fun little connection to the video game world. But she directed an episode this season. I believe Danny Pudi directed an episode this season. So he's giving the cast opportunities to direct the show.
Cool.
So yeah, it's really fun to see them sort of branch out. And I'm talking about season 3 stuff at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So season 2, really good stuff, and I think it's a great show that if you like comedy, check out Mythic Quest. It's 30-minute episodes, 10 episodes a season, real easy watch. If you like video games, they do it justice. It's good stuff.
So I was listening to the Sunny podcast where both Rob and Dennis,
Glenn,
thank you. They weren't on it, and they had 2 other writers.
Oh yeah.
And I wonder what it's like for Megan to, like, she was sexually harassed by Dan Harmon on Community, and she goes to this, and then 2 people she really likes and is really respects, they work on Rick and Morty, like,
yeah, I noticed
at
that
this
too.
point, and it's like, ooh, did they have a conversation of her going, look, I get it, it's the industry, you don't have to like him, or you do, or whatever, it's your job, that's fine, or did they go to her and say, look, we love this show, we love this opportunity, I know what he did was fucked up, but do we have your blessing to do it, or is it just something they didn't talk about at all, and it's just this elephant in the room? Because I would think...
They even brought up his name, where they said, we've done shows where it's like this, and done shows like this, and then we've done Dan Harmon's show, he does the story circles thing.
Yeah, I was like, I listened to that while I drive, so I couldn't watch it. I didn't know if, like, they cut to her or something.
Why would they cut to her?
I know, but I would just like to see, like, a small twitch in her eye, or just seeing her purposely being as straight face as possible.
Well, in her defense, I remember when that whole thing went down, and he, I think, posted a letter on Twitter or something, and she responded to it saying, this is how you do an apology, Dan Harmon, I forgive you. Like, she's way past it, like, years and years ago. So I think they're on good terms. And so I don't think she would ever be the kind of person, don't take an opportunity with this great show because this guy who did a thing to me is on there.
Yeah.
I think it's Hollywood, baby, and you got to make that money and go with it.
Like, well, 60% of all the people in charge are horrible creeps.
Sure. So no matter what job you're getting, there's some weirdo there.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, Dan Harmon makes good stuff.
Yes. There's lots
good or
of
bad, he makes good stuff.
Weird, gross creeps in Hollywood that make amazing things. So then let's talk Barry. Did you have one more?
I have one more thing.
Okay.
Series finale, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Oh yeah, that's right.
One of the greatest shows that's ever existed. Also, I don't think it's enough credit. I mean, it's got a ton of Emmy nominations and everything like that. But because it's on Prime, it's not on Netflix or Hulu.
Season 4?
This is the 5th season.
5th
and final season. It breaks the format from the other 4 seasons in the sense that there's time jumps. So you see where she is because so the normal timeline, it's 1961. Now we see her in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s.
Okay, and
where her career has taken her,
okay,
and how certain relationships ended up, and where characters go. And I can see it kind of jarring a lot of fans. And there are some things that I still have questions about. So I think it's the weakest season, but it ended beautifully. Every episode made me laugh. It's a gorgeous looking show, and anything I've talked about on here about it, it's pretty much all the same stuff. I highly recommend it. It's fantastic. It's the kind of show that I guess would be targeted towards women, but it doesn't beat you over the head in some sort of message of just like women get it done or anything like that. There is that underlying element, but the dynamic between Alex Bornstein's character Susie and Rachel Brosnahan's Maisel is just they're so good, and everyone on that show deserves every acting award because for a show that's so funny and silly, it's also really heartfelt, and it's a comedy but doesn't feel like a comedy a lot of times, but it's so good, and the costume design's great, the set design's great. Tony Shalhoub is hilarious at all times. It's so clever, and I hope the best for everyone that's ever worked on that show because it's all great, and I can't recommend it enough to anybody.
So, since you've seen the show, what's her name? Rachel Broccoli Hands?
Broccoli Hands, yeah.
So, apparently she's up for Lois Lane in James Gunn's Superman movie.
Oh, cool.
How do you feel about that? Do you think she could do it?
Sure.
Okay. Have you heard who is potentially going to be Superman?
If you say the name, maybe.
His last name's like Corn Sweat. And that's not me like making up a Broccoli Hand's name. His name is Corn Sweat. The only thing I know him from is from Pearl. He's like
I didn't see Pearl.
Yeah, so. The moment I saw him in Pearl, I was like, that kind of looks like what's his face?
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill. He'd make a good Superman. sure enough, he's kind of the front runner, but also someone who's in a movie that we'll talk about in just a minute. Nicholas Hoult was up for Superman, and I went, no, he's too baby-faced. I don't like that. But he may be up for Lex Luthor. And I think
that I can see.
That's a bit better. But also they're doing the Superman versus the Elite. Did you ever watch that animated movie?
No.
Some new hotshot heroes come to town and go, "You're old news, Superman. We kill people now because, if you don't set an example, yada yada." And Superman's whole thing is you don't have to lower yourself to that. You can still cherish people's lives and stop crime without being this totalitarian piece of shit. His name's like something Black, Manchester Black. And
that name does sound familiar, but I don't think I know the story.
But so he may even be up for that character because they're going to do that in some way. So yeah, little side tangent, but anyhow, Marvelous Miss Maisel season 5.
Yep,
good stuff.
So Barry,
just
get all the TV out the way.
Let's get a big chunk of TV.
So Barry's season finale aired yesterday.
Series finale.
Oh, my apologies. Series finale aired yesterday. Is it everything you wanted the finale to be?
It's pretty much exactly how I thought it was going to play out for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, Hank and Fuchs are just, their whole gangs are going to kill each other.
Right.
I thought like Barry was going to come in and like kind of sneak and save them, but everything was just going to be happening off camera. You just hear a bunch of gunshots and then come back and everybody was dead. So I'm sad that NoHo Hank died. I wanted him to try to get through it somehow, but he does deserve to die. He is a bad guy. He did a bad thing.
Lots of bad things.
Yeah. But like Kuzno is a piece of shit through a lot of it, but he didn't deserve this. He takes the fall for everything. His total career is completely tarnished. He's in prison by the end, and it's all because like he can't let go of wanting to be famous, to have a mark in Hollywood, and he just does one stupid little thing, and he fucks it all for himself. I mean, one stupid little thing of like taking $250,000 and using it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of the whole underlying theme of the show is here's these characters who know the right thing, or most of them, who try to do the right thing, but there's always that one thing tempting them, and they just can't let go of that temptation. Because that's across the board. Barry, Kuzno, Sally, they all could have gotten out at a bunch of different times, but it's like, but there's a chance for me to do this, and taking that chance always screws them over. So yeah, we have a really awesome shootout kind of scene. It happens so quick, but just how it was shot is really
just
awesome.
Like a static shot.
Just everyone's down the ground. There's 3 guys standing up, and just that dude lobbing the grenade, and just seeing those guys fly, and the camera never cuts away. It was really, really well done.
And then as you're leaving the building, it's like you get little moments of like one guy complaining he can't see, another guy's trying to resuscitate their friends.
I'm dying.
Sally in the background.
It's really bleak.
Yeah. But I felt bad for Hank. It feels weak for him to go out with just a bullet, But
I mean, they gave him, I guess, a nice
moment
because he can hold his love's hand, or the statue of his love's hand.
And we have no idea what happened to
Fuchs.
He just disappears.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, what do you do? Because you're not going to be able to beat Barry. Do you feel like you understood once there was a kid? You were like, okay, Fuchs was just like, okay, I don't care about killing Barry. I just want to.
I thought he wanted a new Barry. He was going to train this one.
What was his thing there? I get Barry is his family, and he always, no matter what Barry did, in times when they were, oh, I want to kill Barry, he still loved him. So now that he added this kid element, I just don't know why that mattered so much to him. Yeah. Where it's like, okay, if he wants a new Barry, but once he saves him, he was immediately like, all right, let me go take you to your dad. He was never gonna.
Yeah.
Was it just, I don't want to kill this innocent?
Yeah, like, I've done this already, and look where it's got me. Look where it got Barry. I'm not going to do that to this kid. I'm not 100% on that one.
Yeah. I love Fuchs, but I don't know how much I kind of buy that moment so much. But it's fine.
Yeah.
Him going to the Walmart or the Target buying all his guns and having to kind of fit into his car with 2 machine guns on his back was pretty fun.
I swore there was going to be like he's going to walk out and someone was going to think he was a mass shooter, but I think it says a lot about us that we would see that and just go and think nothing of it. Even the door greeter didn't even like check his receipt or anything; just let him walk on by.
Yeah, and this is in L.A.
Yeah,
a very liberal city and a very liberal blue state.
But you're in a Walmart, and Walmarts are red states of their own.
Sure,
they're little mini red states.
It wasn't so much a commentary on California so much as a commentary on just America in general,
absolutely.
And its obsession with violence. But it was a fun shot that seems to be like he's walking through the toy section and no one's just like, oh, guy with a gun, it's fine. Not a gun, the guns,
all the guns,
all
yeah. The guns. And you would think with how kick-ass Barry has been in previous episodes, he would get a big final showdown. He doesn't shoot a single gun.
It's the most Barry thing they could have done.
And so he go like Sally tells him pretty much you gotta give yourself up. And I thought maybe the religion thing was a front for his son, but like he seems to legitimately you got a short cord now.
All right.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, you can sit there and you'll be able to pick it up.
I still want your mic to also pick it up.
Well, that maybe make you sound better if my mic is picking you up at the same time. Oh shit! What was I saying?
Sally, tell him to turn us off in.
Oh yeah, and he's just like, no, God's got a bigger plan for me. Like, come on, dude, that's so pathetic.
It's his out.
Yeah, and then it's always one of those things where if you just would have waited another minute, things could have been completely different. Like in the previous episode, Sally was going up to that cop, and if she just would have done something, she would have been taken by Hank's guys.
Mm-hmm.
And if Gene would have just waited a few minutes and like let his agent call the cops, he could have been completely cleared on everything. Barry would have admitted all of it. The whole course of that movie would have been completely different. And then nope. I'm glad he finally got his revenge, but ruined his future for it.
Yeah, so Sally leaves Barry while they sleep.
Yep.
And so Barry goes to Kuzno's house because he assumed that's where she'd be.
Mm-hmm.
Kuzno shoots him in the head, shoots Barry in the chest, and Barry goes, wow! And then just kind of surprised that Kuzno would shoot him. And then
I swore
Barry's dead.
That he was Barry's coming in and say, okay, go ahead, call the cops. And then you hear the gunfire when he gets shot. I thought Kuzno killed himself in that moment. And it would be well, don't call the cops now, and Barry would take off. And then even after he shot him and he's sitting there and you see the cops through the window showing up, I thought he was going to realize, oh shit, maybe I should have let him live, and I'm in deep shit now, and I thought he was going to kill himself right there. But maybe he has too big of an ego to kill himself.
But then Barry dies, cut to a couple years in the future. Sally is the middle school,
I'm not sure,
high school.
That school was real nice to be a middle school.
She's a theater teacher, and a guy asks, basically, is another teacher there asking her out. She's just no,
I'm done with guys.
Yeah, she just doesn't want to deal with any men ever again, other than her son, and
then just fucks off. It's like she just has a happy ending. She's doing what she loves, and people seem to respect her.
Yeah, she
has her son.
She has a quote unquote good life for what.
But we don't really know. Like, there's got to be ramifications for everything in the past. Like, she did kill a guy. It could be blamed on Barry. That's fine. But there's no. Well, did he hold you ransom? Were you held captive? Like, why did you leave? Did you willingly leave with him and have this kid, or were you his sex slave? There's no. I think there's enough doubt in there that she would have been in trouble in some way. Like, you had a job this whole time and you didn't tell anybody about you clearly didn't feel like you were in danger. So you are kind of part of the problem.
Well, it's maybe one of those things where all that stuff did come to light, but it was just kind of, Kuzno was the mastermind. Barry was his hitman. You were just a victim of these circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe she told the truth and everyone knows the real details, but then the movie comes out and then it just kind of gets forgotten about because it's on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Where, I don't know if they ever said where that high school or middle school was, but it's probably not in LA because it's snowy.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So she's in another state. No one really knows who she is,
Mm-hmm.
other than, her son goes to his friend's house where they watch the movie that they made about his dad.
What was it called? The Mask Collector?
The Mask Collector, yeah.
Yikes. That's a
terrible title.
But I love that. That was so good.
I hated this movie just because it looked so cheap.
Oh, yeah.
And this was your chance to get Sudeikis as Bill Hader.
Sure.
And you get, I don't know just all the people Bill Hader's worked with. You get recognizable faces, but it was just nobody's.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to those actors. It just, everything about it just looked cheap, and it was acted poorly. And that was kind of the point because it's this heightened thing.
That's the movie in a movie sort of thing. It's always
I get
it looks bad to us, but it's normal for them.
Sure. But yeah, seeing all the events of the show play out in this movie form where everything is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It was,
and Barry's the hero.
His
son gets to look at it and go, "Yeah, my dad isn't this bad guy Mom made him out to be.
Yeah.
He may have done bad things, but he's a good guy.
My dad's the hero."
Yeah.
Which I guess is nice for the son.
Yeah, but it's delusion.
Is that I guess the idea behind it is, it doesn't matter what happens. It's a matter of what people believe.
Yeah.
Or just is it about the way Hollywood warps reality? Because it just kind of seems like, well, why do I care about what Barry's son feels about Barry?
Yeah.
How does the world feel about Barry? But I guess the world feels that Barry was a hero because Kuzno, we find out at the end of the movie that Kuzno is doing life in prison for being involved with the Czech mafia.
Yeah.
Which was a weird turn of events.
Yeah.
Which one I didn't see coming.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I see it coming from the last episode because Kuzno gets blamed by Janice's police father. But from the beginning of the show, I didn't think that Kuzno would be connected to a British villain connected to the Czech mob.
Yeah, I do think I would have liked to see famous people we know portraying these characters. You get Bill Murray to play Kuzno.
Yeah, Bill Murray. Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of older SNL actors.
I thought
Kristen Wiig as Sally Reed.
Well, I thought Sally was Megan. Mulligan. What's the actress with the last name? Carey Mulligan.
Carey Mulligan.
I thought it was Carey Mulligan at first, and so I think that would have been fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the creators of the show that you do that, it's distracting. You're looking at the actors,
especially if this is the final.
And this is the final scene of the show. Yeah. So
but the other thing that I thought was going to happen for half a second, and I was like, how the fuck are they going to pull this off? I thought for a brief second when the movie started, and I think Barry's talking to Kuzno, but you don't see Kuzno in frame. I was like, holy shit, they got fucking Daniel Day-Lewis. And I was going to be through the roof because I'd have been so cool. Like, what a pull.
Yeah. I mean, if they would have gotten Mark Wahlberg and Daniel Day-Lewis.
That would have been amazing.
But he did retire, so. And I don't think he would come out of retirement for
it. It would have been fun. He had to show up for an hour of shooting. Yeah. That's it.
That would have been.
And just would have been a fun little thing. But he's never been a person to do fun stuff. He just does.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't seem like a fun guy to hang around. But all in all, love the show. It's definitely didn't go in the direction I thought it would. But I'm happy with everything. I think maybe these final episodes, you could have fleshed out a bit more. Maybe if we saw the first year of them being on the run and her getting pregnant, and then you see a little bit longer, and then have them having to pack up their house because they think someone's onto them. But to jump straight to the kid's 8 years old, it was a little jarring. So I think they could have added a bit more for that. But all in all, great show, and I would recommend it to pretty much anyone.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to do your movie now or my movie?
I mean, I guess
your movie's the most recent thing. It should be the header, but
yeah, but we could. I don't even know how much I have to say about your movie. So since I brought it up on the show already,
I don't remember what you said though.
Yeah, so. Let's roll for it. Let's see who goes first.
Wait, so...
You roll whoever has highest number goes first.
Okay. But I want to go second. No, I just... Never mind. 17.
Okay. 5. All right. Doing the menu.
Okay. I was saying if I won, it doesn't matter. We can do the menu. All right, so because I've been stuck at home with my son, who I love very much, but I don't really get a chance to go out, I got a chance to watch a movie because he was asleep for a while. I watched The Menu on HBO.
Good movie.
Yeah. It's a movie I heard about, and maybe you told me how it ended, and I don't remember that conversation. Or maybe it was just, I'm not going to spoil it for you, Steve, in case you want to watch it, which I think might have been more of the conversation, despite the fact that we constantly spoil stuff for each other all the time. That being said, I really like this movie.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty awesome.
It's a modern classic, I think.
I don't know if I love the ending, which we can get to.
Yeah.
But I think acting across the board was really solid. I think that I loved how it made me hate everyone instantly, and deservingly so. Especially Nicholas Hoult. Oh, he was
what a piece of shit.
The worst.
Yeah, but I love him in that role. He's so good.
I feel like he kind of always plays the nice boy thing. Like even when he's in Mad Max, he was the nice war boy.
Yes.
He's just got
he's the big scary beast in X-Men now, but he's the quiet, shy scientist man.
He's the nerdy type.
Yeah.
So to see him just be a complete food snob, rich asshole was a lot of fun. But I kept turning to my wife because we watched it together, and I kept turning. I was like, man, I hate hearing this person talk.
Yeah.
And they're bringing out. The premise of the movie is this group of people get invited to this private island where the world's greatest chef is and his staff are, and you pay $12.50, which
it didn't seem all that expensive.
It's a crazy amount for food. But it's still.
But you hear of like $5,000 burgers because it has gold on it. So a $12.50 meal where you have to get on a boat to go to an island to see it seems relatively cheap.
It's one of those things where most people probably could afford, if they saved up after a year, whatever, they could go to do it.
Yeah.
But it's also like, well, why am I saving up for one meal?
Yeah.
So even if you had the money to do it, you probably wouldn't. So mostly it's just the rich of the rich go and eat this guy's food, and all of his meals are predetermined by the guests, and there's always a story with his food, and Nicholas Holt's kind of your guiding character he's the one who gives you the exposition about who this guy is and why his meals are so important. And Anya Taylor-Joy is his date, who wasn't his original date, and he's a total dick to her because she's a noob, for lack of a better term, who just doesn't get it.
And she's also a sex worker.
Well,
so
I was going to get to that later.
Sorry. Well, I think that plays into why he treats her that way, because he just looks down on her profession.
So anyway, the meals start, and he's just like, I call this dish the ocean, or whatever. And they're basically eating like little tiny morsels of food that's on a rock. And some people are like, oh, this is real. Well, Nicholas Hoult as a character is like, oh my god, this is so fast. Oh, you can really taste the saltiness of blah, 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 blah. And Anya Taylor-Joy is like, I don't get this. And he's just like, well, you just don't understand why this is so good.
You fucking rude.
And other people are just like, it's not as good as his other dish, but I see what he's trying to do it. And they're just, because there's a food critic there, and kind of her hype man, or her agent, I guess.
Oh, isn't it her husband?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
There's a Hollywood actor who said he knows this chef and brings his assistant who may be dating him. Some of the relationships are kind of unclear for me.
I think like he is a little abusive in their boss subordinate relationship. And isn't she quitting? Doesn't she quit on him? Or she has a better opportunity? It's been a while since I watched it.
I don't remember if she was necessarily quitting, but she was doing shady stuff behind the scenes.
You have like an old married couple who've done this a bunch of times.
This is their, I think, 15th time eating there, and then you have kind of these
tech
business
bros.
these business bros who are just there seemingly to kind of...
It's a clout thing.
Yeah, it's a clout thing. So that's essentially the major groups. And so, anyway, couple courses come out. My favorite course was the deconstructed bread dish, where
just dipping sauces.
Yeah, it's bread with no bread, and it's just the sauces.
Can I talk about the food real quick?
Yeah, let's talk about the food. Can we talk about the food?
Like, I do like the, each food gets its own kind of like title card that kind of explains
with the ingredients,
it. But everything they made was disgusting looking. Nothing looked good except for her final meal that she has. I thought that was pretty good. Everything else looked like runny egg yolks in a seashell. Everything was nasty.
Well, I think the problem is maybe that it didn't look good, it just didn't look like food. I think that was the problem. I think if you saw a rock, like if it was an actual rock, but if you cracked that rock open and you found out it was cake, you'd be like, oh wow, this actually is gorgeous.
Sure.
But when it's not food, then you're like,
it just looked like they turned over a rock and whatever was crawling around, like that was your food. It's like, no, that doesn't look good. It's all moss and critters.
But after the second course, I think it's the third course where things really start to ramp up. Where a guy shoots himself in the head, and it's called The Mess.
Yeah.
And they all freak out. They kill the guy who, the chef drops a guy who owned the restaurant that they are currently in into the pool that's outside and drowns him in front of everybody. Yeah. So everyone's now freaking out. And you come to find out that they're all there to get murdered. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna kill everyone. I'm killing all of you.
And all of his assistant chefs are like in on it.
Yeah,
they're all willing to die for this dude.
Seemingly without too much explanation, other than they're artists who are tired of the mediocrity of the deconstruction of their art. He has built Rafe Fiennes' character has built up a cult of chefs who are willing to die for him because they can't achieve his greatness and the world shits on their greatness. But we really don't talk about the staff too much. No. That's one of the things where it's just like, why the fuck are these people into this? Because they don't really go into explain why they are all okay with this.
The main woman, the Asian woman, she's been in some other stuff recently.
Hong Chow. She was the genius businesswoman on Watchmen in the show. Yep. And she's also my best supporting actress of last year for The Whale.
Yeah, okay.
She's in a lot of stuff now. Anywho, so we find out why all those people are there. The businessman and his wife, they he cuts off his finger at one point.
Yeah. Well, wasn't he's cheating on his wife with a prostitute that looks like their daughter?
They never really confirm. I don't think they confirm who that is. So they use a laser to put images on pancakes, onto tortilla shells because they were the fancy tacos or something. And the business bros had spreadsheets of like
their fraud,
their fraud, embezzling money from a company. And
what John Leguizamo had on his tortilla.
John Leguizamo was just a poster of a movie he was in.
Oh,
and we'll get to this. Because this is the part that also is kind of like, really, this guy? So anyway, they all find out they've been corrupted in some way. And essentially, Ray Fiennes is killing those people because they're all a bunch of rich assholes who have ruined art.
And my favorite when he's talking to the rich couple, like, you guys have been here 15 times. Can you name me one thing that you have eaten before? Could not.
Yeah. The rich couple, they were killed because you don't appreciate the food. And the food critic, you're getting killed because you might love my food, but you've shut down all these restaurants who were just trying to make a good meal for people, and you've ruined lives because of the reviews you've written. So you get to die. Nicholas Hoult gets to die, seemingly because he's a food snob, and he is like blogs about the food. He can critique and talk about it, but he can't create art himself.
That was one of like my favorite, funniest scenes of him just like forcing him to cook and making an absolute piece of shit, and then pretty much tells him, go kill yourself. And he does it. And he just goes into a room and hangs himself with like tears in his eyes.
He gets a chef coat from it, and he thinks that, all my dreams are coming true of being recognized by my favorite artist. And the artist going like, no, I fucking hate you, and I wish you were dead. Now go kill yourself. And he does. But even after he gets done cooking and he eats that little bit of food that he makes, and he's just like, you can see a brief glimmer of hope, like, oh wait, maybe I did use. And it's like, no, of course, it's absolute dog shit. And I love that they called it Tyler's dog shit. I think is what the title
like
of the
that,
food
yeah.
was. It's just like undercooked meat and potatoes.
It was like shallots and potatoes. Yeah.
So anyway, and then
John Leguizamo.
Yeah, the frat bros are because they're getting killed because they embezzled money, and then John Leguizamo and his assistant are getting killed because Ray Fiennes had one day off, and so he's just like, I'm going to go see a movie. And he goes to see a movie, and the movie sucks. And that's the only reason he's killing John Leguizamo.
Yeah.
And he's killing his date. And this is my favorite, one of my favorite jokes is the assistant's like, well, why am I dying? And he's like, where'd you go to college? And she said, I don't know, Berkeley or something like that. He's like, did you pay for it? No. You're dying.
Yeah.
So she's
like,
dying.
Do you have student debt?
No. Do you have student debt?
Yeah.
She's simply dying because she went to a school that she didn't have to pay for.
Yeah.
Which, he's attacking all privilege. So that's the mission here. And he's attacking mediocrity. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty funny. And I guess from the director's standpoint, it's also commenting on not just the whole movie's about food and food critics and all that kind of stuff, but it's also talking about just critique and mediocrity in general.
Yeah.
Art and all that kind of stuff, which I really, really liked. But the big twist of the movie is Ray Fiennes kind of recognizes that Anya Taylor-Joy's character, you're not the person who was supposed to be here. What are you doing here? Are you with them? Are you with us? And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, I can tell when a person is poor or whatever. You've been in the service industry. Mm-hmm. You've been like us, regardless of whether you serve food or not. And you come to find out that she is a prostitute, and she knew the businessman because he jerked off in front of her one time. Yeah. And
but they had a dead daughter, right? I think their daughter had died, and like he was visiting prostitutes that reminded
I think they were
of his daughter. But I don't know if it was so he can cry because he missed her, or if it was I want to fuck my daughter.
I'm not going to get into that because they don't really
go into it. So it's vague.
Yeah. It's just a connecting piece of how you know something else is going on. So anyway, she kind of figures out. There's a house on the island where only the head chef is allowed to go into, and he basically says, "You can go there, and get this vat of oil or something for me." And so she goes and she sees a picture of him working at a burger stand as a young boy, and he was smiling in the photo. Happy. Yeah, and that's how she sort of defeats the monster is, hey, make me a burger. Because he says earlier in the movie, I haven't enjoyed making food for someone in a long time because none of these rich snobs actually appreciate food. No.
And this was his last time he was truly happy just making food.
So she asked him to make a burger. He's smiling. He's cooking the burger. He's like, oh, I'll make you the best burger you've ever had. And he just makes a simple burger with just cheese on it, I think.
Yeah, some American cheese. Or cheddar. I think it was cheddar.
Yeah, she was. I think it was American cheese.
Oh, was it American?
Okay. Yeah. Well, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
But so she has this burger, takes one bite, and she's like, "Wow, that's a great burger." But I'm kind of full. Yeah. Can I get mine to go?
It is like a little permission of like, I know you're going to kill these people. Can I get out of here? Yeah. Yes, you can.
So she figured out the secret to the monster's heart. So he died happy because he got to make one final good meal for someone who appreciated the food. Which I thought was kind of fun, and she's allowed to leave and escape her death. But the part that drove me crazy in this movie, not just the I'm killing you because you were in a movie I didn't like, was everyone just kind of sat there at the end, where they brought out
like s'mores.
The final dish was s'mores. They put a bunch of graham crackers on the ground and chocolate sauce, and they put everyone into these like weird midsummer outfits of just marshmallows and chocolate hats. Yeah. And he was just kind of like, s'mores are an abomination to food. It's all just like pure sugar and garbage. So that's what you all are, I guess. And he just lights everyone on fire. Yeah. He lights himself on fire. He lights the staff on fire.
His mom is there.
Everyone on that island burns to death. Yep. With the exception of Nicholas Hoult, who kills himself.
Yeah. And the guy that shot himself.
So it was just kind of one of those things where, like, why isn't everyone has accepted their fate? They're like, we can't get out of here. And he even says, like, why didn't you guys try and fight back? You might have been able to get away, but you didn't. You sat here and you took it. And everyone just burns to death, and that's kind of
one of those realizations of like, yeah, this guy is kind of right, and I'm feel the fool.
Yeah,
so.
and everyone, like, no one screamed, no one freaked out or tried to like run to the door as the fires came. They all just
accepted it.
They all just accepted and died.
Yeah.
It was a pretty fun movie. The only other part that we didn't really talk about was there was the one dish where they all got to kind of try and escape.
Oh yeah.
And this was designed by one of the female chefs there. I forget what the name of it was called, but it was just so the women could have like a nice meal together without the men for a weird bit. And like some of the women tried to convince this woman to like let them leave. It's like, look, you're so talented. I can guarantee you I can get you a restaurant. She's like, I bet you could, but it was my idea that we kill everybody. And so they all just kind of look at each other like, you guys want to get drunk? All right. And they just started chugging wine because they were like, fuck it, I guess we're dying here.
And I like that everybody gets found except for one guy, and he gets like a little special treat for hiding in the chicken coop.
Yeah, you're the last person to get found, so here's a bonus dessert. And I thought that was funny too. Yeah, so it's a dark comedy. There's a lot of pretty good jokes, even though it's not necessarily a funny movie. Yeah. But it has a lot to say, and I think it's right in a lot of regards. Because we're two people who are critiquing the things that we see, and it's.
And I'm even worse at critiquing food than I am with media and stuff. It's usually just, it's good or it's bad. Yes, I will continue to eat this, or no, I don't want to eat this.
But yeah, but at the same time, that is what I think Ray Fiennes' character was striving for. It's like, if you don't like my food, that's fine. Yeah. Just have an honest reaction to it. Or it's like, or here's this thing I worked really hard on and you enjoyed it. Oh, that's good for me. But yeah, I just want you to enjoy it. But here you are sitting in your ivory tower critiquing everything I do, and I've spent my entire life dedicated to this art form when you haven't. And it's pretty interesting. Yeah. We are both a necessity and the problem with art.
But see, at least like we're not too much of a problem because nobody's really taking any of our advice or critiques to heart. Sure. So yeah, we're not the problem yet. But maybe someday we can.
Well, it's just one of those things. It's like, well, you can't have a restaurant without customers. You can't have movies without fans buying tickets. We are a necessity. It's just the idea of anyone who tries to create art getting told that they suck by people who don't create art themselves. Yeah. It's an interesting conversation piece. Yeah. So I really enjoyed this movie. I don't know if it would make my top 10 of last year. I would have to go back over the list. But I did respect a lot about it.
It really was different than when I thought it was going. I thought there would be more, we're killing you off one by one, and then you have to eat the loser. And I thought there was going to be more cannibal side to it. And I'm glad it wasn't that. And Anya Taylor-Joy is really skinny in this movie. She's like...
She's skinny enough.
I mean, she's always skinny, but she looks like, maybe been doing a little coke for a few months thin. Like, let's not do that. She looks like she's all collarbone, and like you could see her ribs. And, I don't know. She's a very thin girl normally, but...
Can I say one thing? That I'm glad you bring her up, because there was one last thing I wanted to talk about. And I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I was like, there's something about this movie that seems so familiar. About this like final girl thing. And I was like, why is it? And then I realized, because Anya Taylor-Joy's done this before, where she's figured out the monster and gets out. Because she was in Split, where she wasn't like the other girls. And he's like, you're like me, and lets her go. So she did that in Split. She did that in this. You could argue she did it in The Witch, because she was the final girl in that.
She was.
And kind of
became accepting of the monster. Instead of going like, well, if I grind up 2 babies, I can defeat the witch, So she did it in New Mutants.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, you can't even dispute that. You don't know if I'm lying.
I'm just saying, she's made a career out of being the final girl in movies that aren't necessarily horror-esque, but aren't full-blown horror movies. I'm okay with that.
And, she's going to be Furiosa in the Furiosa movie, which seemed like she got cast for that forever ago, before she was as big of a star she is now. So that movie is going to do nuts if it ever comes out.
I hope so.
Anything else with the menu?
No, that's it. I just really enjoyed it, and good stuff.
Yeah. So I saw...
your reactions speaks loudly.
Well, don't be so sure. Okay. I saw the Little Mermaid remake. It's pretty good.
Yeah?
It's not bad. comparing all Disney live-action remakes, this is one of the best ones, for sure.
Have you seen all of them?
I haven't seen Cinderella.
Cinderella's my
I hear
favorite.
that's the best one.
I mean, I think that was the very first one.
Yeah. Well, it's like, sure, they did 101 Dalmatians way back in the day, but of this new era of we're remaking everything.
I think Cinderella's solid.
It's better than Lion King, better than Aladdin, better than Mulan, definitely better than Pinocchio. It's pretty good. It does have its flaws. The underwater stuff isn't super convincing. It's hard when you have Avatar and how amazing that is. But even compared to Aquaman, I believe they are underwater more than these people are. So, as I may have said before, The Little Mermaid is my favorite Disney cartoon. I was dragged to it as a kid. I did not want to see this stupid girl movie about some stupid girl mermaid. But I fell in love with Ariel as a little kid, and redheads. So we know where that comes from. Don't like fish though. So I was hesitant when they announced this because it's a classic. You don't need to remake Lion King. You don't need to remake Aladdin. Oh yeah, Beauty and the Beast. That's another one.
You can remake them, just do something different with it.
Something different.
So if the difference is, they look real now. That's not really.
Well, and from what I'm hearing, we're supposed to get an Aladdin 2. We're supposed to get a Lion King 2, but they're not going to be Return of Jafar or Return
Original
to Pride.
Stories.
They're going to be, this is our part 1. Where do we take a part 2 that isn't just remaking their part 2?
Right.
So I'm excited for that because where do you take Lion King? Where in a place where you haven't done before? What do you do with Aladdin? So that's cool. I'm all for that. Because I don't want to see a remake of Return of Jafar. Like, who cares? But this is pretty good. It's pretty faithful. Everybody does a pretty good job. It is a bit long though. But it's to its benefit. In the animated movie, Ariel and Eric kind of just kind of instantly fall in love because they're hot people.
Yeah. She doesn't even speak.
She doesn't say anything, and he's like, "Oh, this is this like half naked woman on a beach. I think I'm in love with her." Like, no, you're just looking for anything, looking for some tail.
Oh, well done.
But they flesh out their relationship and their courting of each other, and Ariel's kind of a hoarder down in the basement of all this stuff from on land. He is actually kind of a hoarder of all the stuff he finds in the ocean.
Oh, that's fun.
So they're both very, very similar. So I like that. I know when we talked about this when it was announced, or at least when what's her name? Halle Bailey.
Yeah.
It's not Halle Berry. It's not Haley Bailey. It's Halle Bailey. I don't like that. When she got cast, and all the hubbub with that, and we made a joke of, wouldn't it be funny if one of her sisters was a green-tailed, red-headed white person, and it's just to piss them off. They don't do that, but all of her sisters are of different ethnicities.
Sure.
So, because her dad is Javier Bardem. She's a black lady. He's Spanish. I think he's from Spain.
Yeah. This was a thing online because I think in the original that all of his daughters were white. But they had 7 daughters because they were from the seven seas, which I like that. Oh, he went to different parts of the world, and maybe the mermaids there were of different races, which also doesn't necessarily make the most sense, but fine. It just would make sense that, of course he has daughters of different ethnicities because he's been fucking around the world.
Exactly. So let's see. I was actually very surprised. I was very surprised with Melissa McCarthy. I think she does a very good Ursula. I
see why they would cast her. I think she makes sense.
But she doesn't do anything that makes it her own or takes it in any place that's not just an imitation. That's fine. Can't complain too much. 2 things about her. They do. Okay, well, 3 things. They cut a part of her song out, and I get why they do. She's doing the Poor Unfortunate Souls song, and she tells Ariel, "I'm going to need your voice." My voice? well, how am I supposed to get Eric to love me? Like, oh, you have your looks, your pretty face, and don't underestimate the importance of body language. They cut that out of the song. And I could see it in today's, woke leftist world that we live in. You don't want to enforce that. It's like, look, you're fucking hot. You just show up and Eric's going to love you. So I get it. But they give Ursula 8 tentacles. In the cartoon, she only has 6 because she has 2 arms, and that makes 8. So now she has 8 tentacles and the 2 arms. Don't like that. And
tentacles. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
Except no. I think it was a more of a. It's easier to animate because it was same with like Sebastian's legs. They gave him less legs in the cartoon because it's just easier to animate.
Sure.
And that could be a thing. But I think it makes sense. She has 8 limbs, 6 tentacles, 2 arms. But whatever. Maybe they want to be more anatomically accurate to, all those octopus women out there.
The octopus community would have been furious if they got this wrong. So,
but there's a part.
Octopi community? No, whatever. Octopus community. That's right.
Yeah.
Whatever.
She's going through her cabinets looking for a potion, and she's grabbing it with all of her tentacles. And one of the tentacles grabs something and taps her on the shoulder, and she looks as if it's its own living
Dr.
thing.
Octopus?
Like it's Dr. Octopus's things. This is her. It's like your hand grabbing something like idle hands and showing you like, oh, there's my keys. Thanks, hand. And it nods. Like the tentacle wouldn't do that. It's just her leg. So little shit like that bothers me.
Okay.
So, okay, let's talk about her little animal friends. Sebastian is horrifying looking. I hate that design. Yes, he looks like a crab, but he's ugly. I don't like it, and I don't like David Diggs, so I don't like Sebastian. And his voice is just not strong enough for those songs because they just are burned into your head.
Mm.
And so when he does his version of it, it's really weak. Aquafina as Scuttle, I think, works.
Okay.
They change it up. It's not just a normal seagull. It's
And
a
you hate
different type.
Aquafina and everything.
And I hate Aquafina in it, but I think her voice works for that kind of annoying squawk.
Sure.
And then Jacob Tremblay is Flounder. I think he's my favorite out of all of them. He's just kind of a cute looking fish. Yeah, his voice works for it. It works.
Isn't that guy like 30 now?
I think he's like 14, 15 now.
Okay.
So there are a couple of new songs. Eric gets I just want to find my girlfriend song. That sucks. It's a bad song. And then Aquafina and David Diggs get like a rap.
Ugh.
I know.
I mean, I get it. They've both made a career from rapping.
And it's Lin-Manuel Miranda who wrote these songs.
Okay.
So
Yes.
It all makes sense. It's very groan-inducing, but it's actually not a bad song. I don't want to hear their voices singing it.
Sure.
So when the pop stars that do covers of the Disney songs, it'll sound much better.
It's funny that as much as hip hop culture has changed in the past 20, 30 years and how it's the new rock and roll. It's everywhere. Drake is the biggest musician in the world, other than maybe Ed Sheeran or something like that, or Taylor Swift. I don't fucking know. But Drake's everywhere. He's probably the number one stream guy. That being said, for whatever reason, rap just seems to not work in movies because it's never a movie unless it's 8 Mile or a movie specifically designed for hip hop. It's here's a bunch of songs and we'll throw in here's a hip hop moment because that's how we know
we're the kids.
This is one for the kids. This is how you know we're cool.
Yeah,
and it always just comes off cringe-inducing. And rap is great, but Hollywood hasn't figured out how to use rap yet because, especially in a kids movie, because rap is oftentimes a more mature adult thing. So when you try and do it for kids, it immediately comes off as kids bop shit. And it's just terrible. Yeah, 99%.
Because the song's it's like, what's the scuttlebutt? What's going on? And then they cut one of my favorite songs.
Part of Your World, is that?
No. And it's of all the songs that you would cut, of course, this is the one. It's when the French chef is trying to kill Sebastian. It's such a fun little moment of him getting prepared and avoiding danger. It's a great little song with that character's not in it. The song's cut. It's just completely out of it. So big shame on that. Speaking of songs, Under the Sea, great song. Sebastian has a part where he starts going like, "Hey, this animal plays this song, this instrument, and this animal plays this. Like the newt plays the flute, the carp plays the harp, and they cut to them in the animated version. Well, obviously they're trying to go a little more realistic, so they're not going to have fish like playing harps and bongos and stuff like that. It would look a little silly. But they just, when they start listing it off, it's just like, hey, here's some turtles. And then the turtles are crossing the screen, and then, oh, here's some jellyfish. And it's so boring. And it kind of, okay, in The Lion King, in both versions, they have I Can't Wait to Be King, and in the animated, all the animals are stacking up on each other, and it's getting crazy. In the live-action one, it's a lot more subdued.
Right.
Obviously, you're not going to have an elephant standing on the back of a giraffe. It's just, they're trying to be realistic. So I get that, but it's still so boring compared to they try their best. There's a lot of colors swirling around, but it just doesn't match the fun quirkiness of the animated,
right? And
it just comes off as boring. And then you have Daveed Diggs, who's just not the same as original Sebastian. So I'd say for all the music, I'd say a thumbs down on most of it because they just don't live up to the standard, except for anything that Halle Bailey is doing, because she has a great voice and she's really good in this role because she actually sounds like Ariel. You look at Emma Watson as Belle, that's just casting because she's a popular actress. She doesn't look like Belle. She doesn't have a good voice. She doesn't even have like the right color hair. That was really, really bad casting. Should have been Alexandra Daddario, but that's besides the point. She actually looks like Belle. Haley Bailey, whatever, Ariel, she sounds just like her. Like
if you closed your eyes,
you think it's her.
I can see it.
So she was an excellent pick. And the original voice actress, the original Ariel's in the movie. She's like a vendor. Nice. And as soon as she showed up, I was just like, yep, that's her. Because you could always just tell when it's like, oh, that's the director. Like, you're not an actor. It's like the coach on Ted Lasso. I'm like, you're not a real actor.
It's the Uncharted scene where Nolan North shows up and like, I did something like that.
But should have had a big arrow going like, look, he's the character. And it happens really quick. And I thought another guy was Sebastian, but I think Sebastian's dead. Let's see. You have any questions for this?
I don't know if I've ever heard Melissa McCarthy sing. Did she sing good?
Yeah.
Or did it just seem completely auto-tuned out to all hell or anything?
No, it sounded relatively natural.
Okay.
She did a good job. And that's one of my favorite Disney songs of all time.
I think in the earlier 90s stuff, when you could get away with a lot more, like some villain deaths have been very sort of horrific. Like hers is famously like crazy.
She takes a ship to the gut.
Yeah, she gets impaled. Yeah. And then you have...
Gaston fell off the castle.
Yeah, but that's
nothing.
You just fall into nothing. But the villain from Tarzan gets hung.
Yeah.
And you see the like silhouette of him of his dead body.
And then Scar gets ripped apart by hyenas.
Yeah, like there was some dark stuff. Did you still have that moment, or did you just see the ship kind of go forward and then it just cuts to her kind of sinking into the water?
No, you do see it go.
It does that. Okay.
It looks good. I think she looks kind of bad. It doesn't look like Melissa McCarthy. It looks like a giant CG Melissa McCarthy. It's not that I want to see her like doing a Godzilla thing, but it looks like we didn't shoot any of this for real. We didn't have time. Just fake it all, and it doesn't look great.
Yeah.
But she does take a full ship to the stomach. In the cartoon, Eric did it, but in this, Ariel does it. And it makes sense, She is her villain. Why not have her? And they do kind of set it up a little bit when she's watching Eric, and there's a storm coming, and the wheel's spinning out of control, and he has to grab it and spin it the other way. So she saw that earlier. She does it and sends the boat into Ursula's belly.
Gotcha.
Ursula was able to anybody who broke their agreement, shriveled them up into little seaweed people. She doesn't have any of that. She just kills them. Because when she gets Triton's trident, she just atomizes him. He's just dead.
So he doesn't come back?
No, he does come back.
Okay.
Once she gets the trident back, he does come back to life. So it's weird that they would be willing to to dust him, but not do the creatures. Because when she's coming through the cave, there are little like eyeball seaweed monsters. And it's like, oh, that must be them. And it may be, but
they do nothing with it.
They don't do anything with it.
Ah, that's so weird.
I know. That's like one of my favorite gross, scary things.
Yeah, it's definitely like really good horror element to it. And I know you don't want to make it too horrific because it's a children's movie, but you instead just completely vaporize a person as opposed to just kind of shrink them down to this.
Or just turn him into a fish.
Yeah,
something.
But no, he's just dead until magic brings him back to life for seemingly nothing.
Or it's like you turn him into a ball of light and he goes into a conch.
Yeah.
And then she has it, and then once they get it back,
doesn't she swallow Ariel's voice in the cartoon?
No, she has it on a shell.
Oh, she has her shell. Oh yeah, just put it in.
Yeah, it should have just been something like that.
Yeah. Flotsam and Jetsam.
Oh, they don't speak.
But they're there.
But they are there. There is a good shot of, it's like a dark cave, and you just see these two yellow eyes, and then it gets closer, and it's like one's left and one's right eye as they like kind of turn, and then the four eyes are there.
Oh, that's cool.
It's pretty cool. Oh, one thing I like that was a change. She doesn't just say, I need your voice and I'll turn you into a human. She says you have to give up all your mermaid abilities. So you can't breathe underwater, you lose the tail, and you lose your siren song. Because they do mention earlier, like, the mermaids are calling to you to jump into the sea. That's their whole thing, because they're evil. So it's not just, I'm going to steal your voice to make it difficult for you to hit on this dude. I'm going to make it so you can't just do this beautiful song and entice him to kiss you and then win it. So it makes a little more sense.
And I think I don't know how the movie plays out, but if she had that ability, that's a good way for her to commit more murders. Is I have the ability to bring men to their death.
Sure.
Does she do that at all?
No.
Oh, that's wasted opportunity.
I mean, there is more, because Ursula has her human counterpart and seduces Eric, and they don't do the whole wedding on a boat. It's more on a balcony. It's not even a wedding. It's an engagement announcement.
And they get another actress to play.
It is a different actress,
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Eric isn't just, I am hypnotized and I love her. They're like, are you okay, man? I thought you were all into Ariel. I'm like, yeah, me too. I don't know what's going on, but whatever.
Ugh, man.
Oh, there's a really... Okay, well, before I get to that, so yeah, she says, like, you have to give up all your mermaid abilities and takes it all away. But she can still understand her animal friends, because they clearly show, like, Eric can't hear Scuttle talking. It just sounds like squawk, squawk, squawk. But Ariel can still understand him. But shouldn't that be part of the mermaid abilities? I think yes. So one thing that I hated, he's trying to, in the Kiss the Girl scene, animated, he's trying to guess her name. And it's just like Sebastian whispering in his ear, just going like, her name's Ariel. And he guesses it. But since they can't understand each other in this version, she points to the stars. They're looking at the stars, and it's like look at that constellation. And it's like, oh, Aries? And she nods her head, and then she does this thing like she's touching his lips to like manipulate it, and he figures out it's Ariel. How does she know who Aries is? How does she know constellations that the humans use? She thinks forks are combs. Why would she have any knowledge of how to chart the sky? Hated that. Makes no sense. I
thought you were gonna make it like that South Park thing where it's North Pole, so polarities.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like a bunch of nonsense. It's just she points to the air, airspace, air. Oh, you're making an L with your hand. Ariel,
pointing to her areola, and like, no, shorten it. I thought it was going to be something like she'd go like air, yes, and then work on it that way. But to point to a constellation and say that's the constellation Aries, and also, she knew that?
This dork knows. I mean, I guess they're seafaring people.
So they know the stars.
I answered my own question.
Yeah. But all in all, I'd say pretty good. I gave it a B. I'm teetering between a B and a B minus. I'm not sure. I keep flip-flopping. Because it is...
It sounds like a B minus to me.
Probably. I'll probably... Final judgment, B minus. Okay. Just because of how... I don't want to say butchered the songs are, but just not as... Like, because I'm singing along the whole time with all of them. And you get so used to the rhythm of these classic songs, and then, well, this is a modern take, so we gotta jazz it up a bit. And yeah, when she starts beatboxing, it's embarrassing.
And then the trident turns into 3 microphones, and the daughters swim up, and there's
yeah, and it's a choreographed thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're so used to how it's supposed to go when they take a little pause before this, or they rush this certain part. You kind of lose the rhythm. But all in all, it's not Pinocchio.
Well, that's a glowing door. So it's been a long time since I've seen the original. So at the end, she gets her voice back, obviously, but she stays on land, right? She leaves her family behind. So
she does turn back into a mermaid because she doesn't fulfill the contract. She gets her voice back. They defeat Ursula, and she's sad. And then Triton goes I could give you legs, and gives her legs. I'm like, dude, you should have done that in the get-go. Give her legs.
Problems.
Give her, a Rumspringa. Mermaid Rumspringa. Go on land, see how fucked up it is, and then you could come back. And it's all this could have been avoided. But the whole kingdom sees the big bad stuff going on. I wish there was a shot of far off in the distance. You see giant Ursula in the ocean, way off in the distance. That would have been really fun. And they do talk about how mer people are evil, sea gods are evil. That's why they keep destroying our ships. I think they just have a really rocky coast around this island because there is a ship graveyard. So they are It's not come on, mermaids are completely fake. They do believe in the myths.
Interesting.
Did you have a question?
No.
She does end up on the ocean. I mean, on land. But in the cartoon, they get married and they sail away. But on this, it's we're gonna just hit the road and sail the seas and see what other lands. Because that's Eric's whole thing. Is he's an adopted prince. His mom is black.
Okay.
And he's I don't think I'm really suited for this whole royalty thing. I want to get out there. I want to not be left behind in the world, and I want to trade with these other places and see what's out there. So they're gonna go on a road trip. Yeah.
All right. Fun.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad it wasn't, because I feel ever since this trailer dropped, I mean, it doesn't help that Disney has had such shitty live-action remakes recently. The first couple came out. Cinderella did fine, Lion King did fine, whatever, Jungle Book did fine, but then you get to your Mulans, your Aladdins, and they're all no, these are abominations, especially Mulan. Mulan's
real bad.
Hot garbage. So everyone was already, the second the trailer dropped, everyone was this is the worst thing.
They don't know what to do. Yeah. It's especially with Mulan, do we make this a historically accurate, as realistically, as realistic as possible for its time period, or do we lean into funny sidekick dragons and supernatural things? And they weren't 100%, so they went kind of this wishy-washy 50% of the way, and it is bad.
Yeah.
So I think they didn't know, even from the get-go, are we doing these as a shot-for-shot that just looks nicer remakes, or are we trying to do something new? And I think with everyone, Aladdin, you see they're trying a little bit of new things within there. But it doesn't always work. Lion King is super faithful. It doesn't work. Pinocchio's pretty faithful, and that's just a shit story to begin with.
Yeah.
They really need to start. If the story is just a classic thing we know and love and has been around for generations, maybe try something a little different. Or you start remaking the movies that aren't classics. Your Atlantises. I don't want to say Hercules because that's kind of a classic. Treasure Planet, Home on the Range, even. Get some of the weird ones that aren't nearly as popular. So, talking with Nick last night, is there one you want to see?
See, I think had it not already been made, I would say Mulan was ripe for the live-action remake, and you don't even have to do. Mushu's great and all that stuff, but if you didn't go that route, you make it this Braveheart-esque, historical epic, where I'm not saying it has to be 100% accurate, because, I don't know if the Mongolians actually climbed the walls or whatever it was.
But you don't have, the wire work, crouching tiger fantasy.
You don't have a woman who can turn into a phoenix out of nowhere, and to give her that weird assassin villain who I don't even remember what. And you just kind of you can still have her fall in love with the general guy, but you wrote him off and made this other character to sort of give her a character to interact with that no one cares about because he's just this new character. There's just so much wrong with that remake, and I think like you said, it should have just been you'd go one way or the other. You don't try and have it both ways. And I think
it works in animated. You can have it both ways. But when you're trying to do a live action, you gotta pick an extreme.
But the fact that that's picked, I'd say Hercules is the one I want to see the most because I'm just a big fan of mythology. Do I think that it'd be hard to pull off? Probably.
I don't know. The Rock was in a Hercules movie. There was. We've seen Hercules before. So that's not a tale that
we haven't seen a musical Hercules.
Sure. I just can't see it being. I think it would just kind of look like Clash of the Titans or something, you know? Who gives a shit? We've seen that before.
Yeah, but it's Clash of Titans for kids.
Good.
You asked me
to Nick said Hercules as well. That's the thing. But, do you want them to maybe not touch it because it's so good, they're only going to fuck it up?
I mean, I like that movie, but I think it... I don't know.
Gotta do it while James Wood is still alive. Because he would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you bring this up because has nothing really to do with it too much, but I just want to make a side note. So a big part of The Marvelous Miss Maisel, you had Alex Bornstein's character, who was this very tiny woman who always, dressed like a man or whatever. And she was very feisty. And she reminded me of Phil from Hercules and always wanting Maisel to shine. And there was a moment in the finale where I don't know how I didn't realize it sooner, where I was just like imagining her going, yeah, that's Susie's girl. Like, how Phil goes, yeah, that's Phil's when he looks up in the stars or whatever. Yeah. So it's like, you know what? If they did a live action remake and they couldn't get Danny DeVito, Alex Bornstein for Phil. I think that'd be fun.
Because that's one of the characters you can gender swap and it's not going to affect.
Not a big deal. Yeah. I think there are a bunch of people who are like, you can't replace Danny DeVito. He's a national treasure. It's fine. Like, DeVito would be my first choice, but if you don't get him, I want to throw out Alex Bornstein.
But isn't that kind of like the point of remaking it? Is we got to get someone new. No one's really reprised their character in any of these except James Earl Jones.
Yeah,
because that's almost like too classic.
Yeah, too iconic.
But okay, if you just want James Woods and Danny DeVito, just watch the fucking animated thing. So let's do something different. Let's get other characters. Because you may make that Hercules remake and not even have that Danny DeVito character. It could be something completely different.
Sure. Especially in the world of mythology when you can pull from anything. Or, make God of War. How about that? God of War's my pick. No, I'm just kidding. I think Amazon is doing that currently.
Yeah, no, but I want the Disney animated God of War. I want GG in their
Kratos
style.
Doing musical numbers would be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. His main song, Boy.
Boy, I got something to teach you. No, his main song. What's the song from Hercules is How Far I'll Go, or I Can Go the Distance. Oh, that's what it is. Never mind. I thought it was How Far I Go. It's like How Far I Go to Kill Someone would be the thing. Anyway.
So my choices were I think you do The Rescuers. And I really thought we were going to get a Rescuers movie right after G-Force when you started getting more live action animals. And then Nick brought up Chippendale.
I was going to say Chippendale would be a good precursor.
So Sherlock is still a very popular thing. So I think The Great Mouse Detective would work.
Okay.
and it's one that people don't really know much about.
Sure.
So it's easy to, if you fuck with that, it's not going to be a big deal. I don't think I want to see Fox and the Hound. I know I said Home on the Range, but I definitely don't want to see that. That's a terrible, terrible movie. I think if they get perfect casting and a good enough writer, I would say maybe a Lord and Miller to do it, Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
But it has to be pitch perfect, because if it's not as funny, it's gonna be what was the point?
Yeah, that's a good pick.
But I'd say Treasure Planet or Atlantis. They're the most
Yeah, I think there's ones that lend themselves to better adaptations. The problem is Disney cares about money,
Yeah.
and so you get the bigger properties. So everything they've
Sure.
made so far makes sense because those are the big
biggest.
Yeah,
But even though they've all made $1 billion, they're all terrible. So this is a chance to take something that isn't beloved by the masses and turn it into the next cool thing.
Ben.
I don't know.
We're Disney, baby. We want that sweet money. You think we care about making good stuff?
I mean, yeah,
You want good stuff? Come to the theme parks. Other than that, we don't give a shit. Oh, you like Star Wars? Guess what? We fucking ruined it. But guess what? We're making buku bucks,
Yeah.
my man. I'm swimming in money. I'm Smaug laying on a pile of gold. I'm just
Was it Bob
hoarding it.
Iger? Is that who's in charge again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He came back.
Yeah. Thank God, because that other guy seemed like he had the dumbest ideas. And like, fuck animation, fuck, he said something like, cartoons are for kids. And it's like, yeah, and
You
you're
built your
fucking
entire
Disney.
empire.
You're a moron.
Your entire empire of media is essentially built on
Yeah.
children.
But I think if you have Atlantis or Treasure Planet, they're two very different, but they are kind of big set piece, special effect heavy adventures that you could make a lot of sequels, and these could become their next big franchises. Because, if you make a sequel to Beauty and the Beast, people may get pissed off of how you treat those characters. We're not too precious with these other ones. Or Bambi, that's probably next.
Yeah,
that's easy. Cute animals. It'll just be like Lion King. Maybe it'll be a little more. They'll show more of the mom getting shot. Then they'll flesh out the hunter. I think that's it.
Who plays the hunter?
Well, in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, they were going to say that the Judge Doom was the person who shot Bambi's mom. So you get Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, okay.
Why not? No, it'll probably be like Hemsworth or something. Now, Liam Hemsworth is Hercules. That's who I see.
Oh, okay. I don't think Liam Hemsworth can sing. But
probably not. And he's probably maybe even a little too old. But
at this point,
yeah.
Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm
Next episode, we fan cast every Disney movie
that's
going to become live action. Okay, I think that sounds good, right?
Yeah. It's 10 o'clock. I think I have to put my kid to sleep.
All right, so next week... Oh, you better go to the fucking movies next week. Spider-Verse.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Leave the kid in the car if you have to. You're going to need to see this movie. Because I'll come out here and I'll spoil fucking everything about it. Right to your fucking stupid face.
Damn it.
All right. So you gotta figure something out.
I'll figure it out, yeah.
Because apparently it's a masterpiece. Everyone says it's better than the original. It's bigger without being bloated. And it's just... This isn't just a great Spider-Man movie. This isn't a great comic book movie. This is just a great movie. So,
yeah,
big shoes.
I don't remember. I think if it wasn't my number one movie of the year, it was probably number 2.
Yeah.
Into the no. What was the first one?
Into the Spider-Verse.
Across the Spider-Verse. Yeah.
They're doing the Homecoming, No Way Home thing.
So
it's funny
Into
that we
the
just
Spider-Verse I loved. So if this one is even better, it could easily be the favorite of the year.
Yeah, it's like we call it Spider-Verse 2, but it's actually just called Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse. Like, it is just a Spider-Man movie. But Spider-Verse is better. There's something else that comes out, but I don't care.
There's no... Do you remember if there's any villains in the trailer, or is like the villain...
The Spot is the only villain I know.
Right. Yeah, okay.
I think it's called The Spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because from the trailer, it just makes it seem that Spider-Man
2099
or whatever is the villain of the movie.
And he's scary looking. Like, the way he just, like, runs after him. Love it. Yeah, there's something else. I don't know what else is coming out, but...
Yeah, I just need to take off one day.
Just one day.
And just spend...
You take it off.
18 hours watching 5 movies.
You lie to your wife and just go, off to work, honey, bright and early, and I'm doing a double today. And then you just go see movies all day.
I just call out. And,
yeah. And then you come home and you got popcorn in your teeth and you have to explain yourself. But so if you want to get in contact with us, we are at WRPLpodcast@gmail.com. Also on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, hit us up with any questions, comments, or concerns. Are you excited for Spider-Verse? What do you think of Little Mermaid? Just let us know. Or just do it in the comments of this video. As always, I'm Ben.
I'm Steve.
And keep consuming.